Welcome to Philanthropy SA. This is a podcast about and for the philanthropic community in San Antonio and South Texas. We introduce organizations and people who are making an impact in the community. Beneficent Financial is proud to sponsor this podcast, and it is our hope that you enjoy this conversation about the impact we can have. The goal is to edify and inspire. Now please join our host, Dan Redman.
Thanks for joining us today on Philanthropy SA. I'm your host, Dan Redman, and very pleased to be joined today by Chris Martin. He's the president and CEO of United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County. Chris, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me back, Dan. I'm happy to be here.
I don't get a lot of repeat guests. A lot of them get done and go, okay, I'm never doing that again. So glad to have you and glad that you're back. Since you've been a return host, we know that you came by way most immediately of Ohio, and have had a couple of stints and been a United Way guy for a long time. So, we're going to delve into that, level as well. Anything new and exciting personally over the last year that you want to make sure we know about?
No, just happy to be here and happy to be in San Antonio and actually coming up on completing 7 years of service to United Way here in San Antonio and Bexar County. So just pleased to be here.
There you go. So after 7 years, I'm guessing you have already figured out what your favorite Fiesta events are and what ones you're going, okay, yeah, I don't need to do that one again.
They're all favorites because they're, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the United Way Kids Festival, right? I mean,
there you go. See?
The only free family Fiesta event for families. So.
And I didn't even know I set that up. So there we go. That is perfect. So speaking of free events and events for families, we don't normally do this, but you've got a big one coming up this weekend. Why don't you tell us about it?
We do, sure. Well, it's our Family Day event that will be held at our Eastside Family Resource Center, which is just across the street off of Coca-Cola Place at the Andy, and it's right near the Frost Bank Center. And it's our Eastside Family Resource Center in partnership with the Pelchin Children's Home, our Children's Society. And they are, it's been in existence now for it's actually a little over a year and a half now since we opened that Family Resource Center. It was the first of its kind in our area. It was the first investment for United Way in the Family Resource Center space. And we're actually about to launch over the course of the next, I'd say 18 months, another 4 family resource centers throughout the city and really targeting zip codes where services may be in need. And so we invite anybody to come out. I believe it starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. We had a huge group of volunteers from HEB's Tournament of Champions that were out there yesterday packing food boxes for families, packing backpacks for kids, packing sensory kits for kids, and they also did a little bit of a makeover of the facility. So really excited for the event, but encourage families to come out. We're expecting over 1,000 people to be there. I think last year we had north of 750, and we're expecting the numbers to be over 1,000 this year. And many activities for kids, many activities for families, and it's just an opportunity to come and take a look at the Family Resource Center and see if there's a way that it might, help you as a family.
Very good. And that's going to be on Saturday, since we were talking about this Saturday and you don't know what day we're taping this. That'll be Saturday, June 7th. So that'll be the Saturday that it's on. Like I said, don't normally highlight specific dated events because this will probably be dropping just a day or two prior. But I wanted to get that out there. Also, the people will hear that are the folks who subscribe and immediately open and listen to the podcast. So mom, if you're interested, go. But, other than that, I don't know other than my mom, if there's anybody in that category. But I wanted to switch gears too, before we get to some of the an event that y'all hosted not too long ago, that was a collaboration with Social Venture Partners, was the All Aboard program. And it was, board training for, younger upcoming folks who are interested in philanthropy and want to learn what it's like to be on a board and that type of thing. I thought that was a great program. Had an associate of mine who participated in the program, and she liked it a great deal and felt that she gained a lot of information about it. So that was something that I just knew had happened and was, kind of tangentially related through Social Venture Partners, but didn't know if you wanted to talk about that at all.
Yeah, it was actually an effort in partnership with Social Venture Partners, as you mentioned, and it was targeting our emerging leaders group. And that's really where, the conversation began around what would this look like as we start to think about what the next generation of leaders in our communities look like, and how they engage, and how do we equip them to engage in a way that's productive and it's meaningful for them, a meaningful experience for them. They feel as if they're contributing and having an impact. And so, through that partnership, we trained a number of folks throughout the community, and went well. And we're looking about what the future might look like as well. So how do we continue that? And like I said, help to develop that next generation of nonprofit leaders as board members.
Absolutely. And I can attest to the fact that when I have conversations with EDs, CEOs, a topic that always comes up eventually is going to be the nature of the board and board engagement and getting the right folks on the board and all that kind of stuff. And so, and of course, your board's a veritable who's who. So, you've got that blessing. But, for folks that are looking for board members who I think just taking somebody and saying, hey, you should be on this board, or you get asked to be on a board and it's a great deal. And then you kind of get into it and realize, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here and what am I going to do and all that. So I love those types of training programs. I'm really glad that you all did that. And I hope that type of program continues to help those emerging leaders, find those roles and get involved early. So beyond that, though, there's just so much that's been going on. So kind of catch us up on what's going on in the world of United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County.
Sure. Happy to do so. Well, the 2024 annual campaign wrapped up well. Phil Green from Frost Bank was our campaign chair. Did a wonderful job, provided incredible leadership for the campaign, and very thoughtful and quite frankly, very committed to this community. And as a result of his leadership and the engagement of so many other volunteers and companies and donors, we were able to generate $46 million in the annual campaign. A number of great things happened there. We had a match from Frost Bank, the Frost Bank Foundation, that matched $500,000 in new business that was generated, and also matched new gifts of $100 or more, and we had more than 6,000 new donors at that $100 level to the annual campaign, which that generated another $500,000 in match money. So excited about that. New people to the table, which is certainly important for growth as we go forward, and it's important for people to engage in supporting their campaign. So that that campaign is one of the primary drivers and the fuel for the work that we do in the community. And we just completed a new 5-year request for a proposal process. So the decisions have been made on that, and the funding for that will begin July 1 of this year. So that's just about to roll out. And we had north of $56 million in requests for, $15 million in funding for that. So that just tells you the magnitude of the issues that this community faces, and it tells you how many organizations are out there that want to help people, and it takes investment to do that. And in November we finalized our decisions and selected 71 nonprofits to be a part of it. 21 of those nonprofits are brand new to United Way in terms of funding. So it's really about how do we select the organizations and the programs that address the strategies that we're trying to implement and execute in the community that are really about facing the most critical issues. And I will tell you that, over the last 5 years, actually it's been 6 years. It was originally a 5-year request for proposal and investment process last time that we did this back in 2019. And because of COVID, we extended that a year. Just to bring some stability to the ecosystem and to our partners, quite frankly. And, we had over 200 proposals this year the requests for proposals, I should say. And, one of the learnings that we got from our last cycle and we were trying to be much more strategic and conscious of this, is really finding a way to address mental health and poverty as two major barriers to success in those impact councils that we're trying to address the critical issues with.
Yeah, both of those are areas that, whether you look at them as kind of some of the more upstream issues, or if you look at them as the issues that cause these cycles, where generations end up in need of services and unable to do things directly, be able to take care of things directly themselves, at a full level. Those are definitely two of the areas that do that. And Phil Green, I've heard him speak in several venues, different ways, but you're absolutely right in terms of leadership. I don't think you could have had someone who was better at understanding what needs to be done, being able to get it done, and really, most importantly, having a heart to get it done.
Absolutely. We were very fortunate to have his leadership. And, all along he talked about how San Antonio really benefits from collaborative capital and the collaborative nature of this community. And it played out every step of the way. It was true. And I think so many in this community demonstrated that. And this is just one of the ways that we demonstrate that, right? There are so many others in this community, so many other ways, I should say, that people demonstrate their collaborative nature and their true caring spirit for others in San Antonio.
Absolutely. So I know we've got some other programs you want to talk about, and I want to get to those. But just real quick, if there's an organization out there that's currently not receiving funds from United Way and wants to know what's the way that I can be eligible and get the opportunity to put forward my organization to do that, what would you tell them to do?
So what I would tell them to do is call our main line and ask for somebody in our community impact department. And they would make sure that they're added to the list. Now that, as I mentioned, we just completed a 5-year process. So we're probably 5 years out. Now we'll also be going through a very similar request for proposal process for our safety net services, which is a real focus on housing and food insecurity. That will be happening, and we'll launch that in 2026. And so that's a smaller piece. It's only one piece of the 4 impact councils, but and then we'll get them on cycle so that it'll actually be every 5 years. There will be all 4 of our impact councils, the Ready Children, Successful Students, and Strong Individuals and Families, and Safety Net will all be launched at the same time every 5 years.
Very good. So the ones that you'll be looking at initially are going to be those safety net programs.
Yes.
In terms of next.
This upcoming process will be the safety net, correct.
Understood. Okay, well, sorry about that detour. Now, what else has been going on in the world of United Way?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our volunteer income tax assistance program that just wrapped up with tax season, and that's a partnership with Catholic Charities and the city of San Antonio. We actually had almost 25,000 residents that utilize the service. It's people that make have incomes that are between 60 and 65,000 and less. They have the opportunity to have trained volunteers complete their tax returns, and almost 25,000 people chose to do that. We were able to generate $33.2 million in tax refunds, and we also saved $5.9 million in tax preparation fees for those families. So they were able to benefit from the full amount of their refund, and very fortunate. One of the largest in the country. I believe we're the second largest volunteer income tax assistance program in the entire country, just behind New York City. And hundreds of volunteers donated over 10,000 hours of their time to do this with people. And so really proud of the work that we do there in partnership with others. And we know that $33 million plus return gets invested right back into this community. And for some, it might be a down payment on a house. It might be a car repair. It might be medication. These are people they're working hard in our community and struggling to make ends meet oftentimes. And that's why this program exists. And it's an opportunity to bring some stability to those families.
Yeah. No, that's great when you can help people on something. And I know how intimidating taxes can be for some people.
Absolutely. And we actually even had a group of volunteers from one of the high schools in town that actually went through the training program, received advanced certification. They're part of a financial club at one of the schools. And I think it was like 8 or 9 high school students that came every Saturday throughout the tax season and helped prepare tax returns for people in our community, families in our community. And I know it was a great experience for them.
Absolutely. That's great to see folks do that. And of course, they're getting a head start on when they're going to be paying their taxes. So.
That's right.
What else have we got?
Let's talk a little bit about early childhood work. Certainly a lot of work has been done in this community to ramp up early childhood efforts and bring awareness to the importance of early childhood development and access to quality early care and education for our kids. Without that, it's hard for parents to be able to go to work. It's hard for families to, have that, feel safe about what's happening with their kids. And, we're a partnership that we had with Workforce Solutions Alamo and Education Service Center Region 20 called the Alamo Quality Pathway. A lot of people don't realize that back in 2024, a new state law went into effect that basically said if any child care center in the state of Texas wanted to qualify for scholarship money for child care scholarships for families, they had to be on the path to becoming rated quality. And we had more than half of our centers in this community that were not there. And I'm really proud to say that we worked with 203 child care centers last year through the Alamo Quality Pathway, and that was about bringing training to them, bringing access to services and access to support systems that they might need to get themselves on that path to quality. We worked with 203 centers and were able to get them on that path so they didn't lose any of that child care subsidy funding. And as a result of that, we were able to affect 17,000 child care slots in this community. Still have a great need to expand that. We need to make sure that every one of our kids in San Antonio and Bexar County and, really across the state for that matter, every one of our kids deserves to have that solid foundation and that solid start to their lives and to their education and to their future. If we provide that, we'll be far better off. We know that, for the dollars that we invest there, the long-term savings are much greater than the initial investment. And it's true of so many things when you talk about prevention and preparation.
Yep. The further upstream you can go, the more likely you are to get in front of those problems.
Yep. No doubt. And, I mentioned our family resource centers, really excited about the work that we're doing there. As I said, we'll launch 4 family resource centers over the course of the next probably 18 months. One of them is a partnership with Toyota and Texas A&M San Antonio, and East Central ISD. Will actually be launching a family resource center at Pecan Valley Elementary with the start of the new school year. And it's a part of the Toyota Driving Possibilities program. And United Way was asked to think about what it might look like in creating a family resource center there. And we will do so. And here shortly, we're putting the finishing touches on another family resource center in the northeast part of town. That will probably open within the next 60 to 90 days. And we were also very fortunate to have an organization come to us with a donating a mobile dental unit. We're actually going to turn that into a mobile family resource center so that we can bring the services right into communities that need them. And, family resource centers are, a lot of the things that happen there. It's about training. It's about making sure that we're working with parents to make sure that they have the skill set to prepare themselves and to help strengthen their family. And it also provides, our Eastside Family Resource Center provides mental health counseling and other counseling for the clients there. So one of the things that we do as we open these up in new communities, we have a parent advisory committee, and it's really the parent advisory committee that helps to shape what services we provide, because not every community is the same. And so having that parent advisory committee to help guide us and steer us in the right direction makes a huge difference, and it makes a huge difference in engagement. We want to make sure that if we're going to provide a service and we're going to open a facility like that, we want to make sure that the services are needed and they'll be utilized.
Right. You don't want to take something and pour a lot of resourcing into it and then have it sit not being used. And with as many different programs as y'all have, that's definitely something that is probably harder to keep track of just because of the sheer quantity of things that y'all do. So this is probably a good time for us to take a break and hear from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Many of you out there care deeply about wanting to make an impact on the world around you. You want to help take care of the people and organizations that are important to you. We understand that because we feel the same way. Beneficent Financial wants to help you. Our mission is to help people like you with professional, individualized financial advice achieve their objectives. Whether your financial legacy will stay within your family or benefit the community at large, we are able to help. Call Beneficent Financial today at 210-999-5511. In addition to traditional wealth management, we offer philanthropic services such as direct donations of required minimum distributions, donor-advised funds, and foundations. Call 210-999-5511 or go online to beneficentfinancial.net. Let us help you do well so you can do good. Securities offered through Momentum Independent Network, member SIPC/FINRA.
Thanks for joining us today on Philanthropy SA. I'm your host, Dan Redman, and joined today by Chris Martin. He's the president and CEO of United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County. And we've been talking about some of the programs and that type of thing. And if we've got one or two more that you want to hit on, we can. But one of the things that you and I were talking about before we started recording, and this has been a recurring theme I've been hearing a lot of here lately, is just concerns over cuts in funding, specifically federal dollars, whether they come directly or indirectly and are getting routed through a program that subsequently gets allocated by the city or state and what have you. But at its source, these are federal funds that are coming out and all kinds of things that are going on in those programs and concerns about that. And just kind of wanted to get your thoughts and what you're hearing and seeing. And I don't know if that directly impacts any of your funding for that matter, but, what kind of is going on in that?
It's a great question. I think, first and foremost, what I'd probably say to you is there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of not knowing exactly how things are going to play out. And I think, uncertainty probably lends itself to a little bit of nervousness. And so, we've been partnering with others to have conversations around what this might look like. We've been partnering with the Kronkowski Charitable Foundation as well as the San Antonio Area Foundation. The three of us have come together to host a number of opportunities to hear and listen to many of our partners. I believe we had we held a session a couple months ago now, and we had probably north of 170 people that came to that just to, ask questions about what we knew. And one of the results of that was, we were able to secure a volunteer commitment from an attorney that works out of D.C. and understands government contracts. And so we were able to ask her she was from Macon Gump, and shared a little bit of her knowledge and what she knew about it. And I think that helped to bring a little bit of clarity for people. But the reality is it's still unclear, and a lot more to come on that. It's something that everybody has on their mind, including us. If you think about the level of federal funding in this community, there's no amount of money in San Antonio to be able to make up for all that happens through federal grants and investments in this community. And the same is probably true in every community across the country. It's not just San Antonio.
Sure. And federal programming is, I've been involved with nonprofits where, again, directly or indirectly, the governmental funding is a major component of their programs. And whether it's fee for service or grants or whatever the sourcing is, it's definitely something that causes a risk. I'll get on my soapbox about braided income streams a little bit and encourage organizations that are out there that know that they have the preponderance of their funding from a single income stream, no matter which one it is, to encourage you to try to diversify that to the extent possible. But in terms of the look today, one of the things that happens when you have these types of times is that when things get tight fiscally, and certainly in the for-profit world, what happens is you get a certain level of consolidation, you get some of those types of things. You were sharing with me earlier that there's actually a program that your board has put together that's specifically designed to kind of help address this need. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Our board approved the launching of a sustained collaboration fund that fund will, if we have any of our impact partners that we're investing in that are in conversations, and I won't say about merging, because there are really 9 or 10 different scenarios around collaboration and back office collaboration, you name it. But there's 9 or 10 different scenarios where, if at least one of the organizations in those discussions is one of our impact partners, we're willing to have a dialogue around how we might support that, whether it be financially or with in-kind resources, whatever it might be. We're open to that, because if in the end, if we end up with a stronger way of delivering services in the community because organizations came together or they began to work together in ways that they didn't before, we're far better off, and it creates efficiency. And at the end of the day, when we create efficiency, we deliver better service usually, and we help more people.
Absolutely. And that's going to be something that organizations will find the need to look into, whether or not they're going to do it voluntarily and proactively, or whether it's going to be, oh my gosh, this is the last straw. This is, we're being forced into it. Kind of changes the dynamics of how that looks. But I do think in this type of a situation where you do have organizations out there with overlap in terms of whether it's geographic or otherwise, but just areas where services are provided that can be duplicative, the opportunities to collaborate and bring those together in a way that's more efficient is something that I certainly hope organizations are going to participate in. And it's great to know that there's resourcing and expertise at the United Way to help organizations that you already support who are looking for that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point there, Dan, about saying proactive, right? I mean, I think when it turns into reactive and panic and kind of the end of the game discussion, oftentimes what could result from that is service gap, right? And there's a gap in delivery of service to certain populations or certain parts of town or whatever that might be. And that's one of the things that we need to avoid. We need to make sure that the people that need help get help. And one of the ways that we can do that is by being more proactive in conversations around working together.
Yeah, it's not a fun thing to talk about, but I do hope that folks, as they have, as their boards are convening and as their executive directors and senior staff are, kind of talking about paths forward, that they be realistic about it and be looking at these types of options. And I will just add that from my perspective anyway, don't look at it as a defeat or something where it's like necessarily a bad thing. This can be an opportunity to achieve a lot more things in conjunction with another organization than just doing it on your own. And the synergies and efficiencies that come out of that, to your point earlier, allow you to serve more people in a better way than you were doing before. So I certainly hope that's something that that folks look at. This is a kind of something I get on my soapbox from time to time on, and so that's just something that I hope that folks will consider as they're doing that. What else do we want to talk about? Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to make sure that we talk about today?
Yeah, I think just a couple thoughts. Number one, I would really encourage people to find a way to engage in this community as we go through turbulent times, and it's going to require an all hands on deck approach, and it's not just financially. It's volunteering. It's providing thought leadership. I mean, talent goes a long way in helping organizations improve the work that they do, and thinking differently about the work that they do. So it's not just financial investment. It's all those other things. And I would encourage people to find their way to make a difference in this community. There are many, many ways that you can do that, and just encourage folks to find their way to engage.
I would dovetail on that and just say that, yes, the one thing when we talk about philanthropy or we talk about doing well and doing good, which is the motto here, sometimes people just assume, oh, that's writing a big check. And don't get me wrong, we all need big checks. The big checks are great. Keep those coming, folks. Thank you. But, whether the expression is time, talent, and treasure or work, wealth, and wisdom, alliterations are great, aren't they? That's what this ecosystem runs on. And so if you're sitting there saying, well, I don't have a lot of excess funds, but boy, I've got a skill set that, been honed over time and I'm no longer using it either because I've retired or I've just got some bandwidth and I can afford, to spend a few hours a week giving somebody else this expertise. There are organizations that really, really need that and really need that help. And so there's lots of ways to get engaged. One that I'll mention is, programs where you can go online and say, hey, I want to help, volunteer and I want to help, provide these types of resources. One that Social Venture Partner sponsors is called Catch a Fire. And with Catch a Fire, it's basically like a matchmaking service. Nonprofits that need help in an area will say, hey, I need somebody to help with bookkeeping, or I need somebody to help with marketing or putting together a pamphlet or whatever. And people who have those marketing skills and have those bookkeeping skills can then sign up on there. So check out Catch a Fire. It's a great program, and that's a great way to get engaged. And you may find, a passion that you didn't even know you had for organizations.
No doubt. And plenty of opportunities. There's, another great example of a program is the Master's Leadership Program. It's, it originally was for people that were nearing retirement, but I think that it's broadened the number of people that go through that training program. And it's all about learning to be good, productive, and helpful board members and really building the foundation of knowledge that it takes to do so. So, again, many ways to get involved. And I mentioned earlier the Family Resource Center volunteer project that we had yesterday with the HEB Tournament of Champions. And it just, for me, it demonstrated the power of volunteerism, because the work that was done yesterday in just, 4 hours in the morning was amazing to me, and to see that transformation. And I can tell you this, that if it was left to the people that are staffing our Family Resource Center, we would have worked overnight and we'd still be there right now, and we still wouldn't have as much done as that 250, 300 volunteer strong group did yesterday. So, it really helps us prepare to deliver better service and to do it quicker and to do it better.
Yep. Volunteers are the foot soldiers of the philanthropic world. That is for sure. So, Chris, what else do we want to talk about? Anything that we missed today?
One of the things that I should probably mention to people is, there are people out there in this community that need assistance, and, they themselves need assistance, or they may work with somebody that needs assistance, or, maybe it's a family member, a neighbor, whatever it might be. I would encourage people to call our United Way 211 helpline. It's a 24/7, 365 days helpline, trained social workers on the other end of that line. And all they have to do is dial 211, no different than 311 or 911. It's, 211 is not for an emergency, but encourage people to call there if they're in need of assistance. And, they'll be asked some very basic questions like, what's your zip code, just so that we can locate a service that's closer to them so that they don't have to drive all the way across town. But a resource that people should know about, more than 200,000 contacts last year alone at our San Antonio office, here at United Way office. They had over 200,000 connections with people to help them connect to service. So important number to keep on your desk and keep top of mind for those that might need it.
Absolutely. It's a great resource for folks, and as simple as calling 211. Well, that's probably a good note to end on. I want to thank you for being here, Chris. It's always good to see you. I hope you'll come back with another update next year, and we'll just keep up on all the good stuff that United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County are doing. On behalf of Philanthropy SA, I'm your host, Dan Redman, reminding you to do well so you can do good.
Thank you for joining us at Philanthropy SA. We hope you found something to inspire you during today's conversation. If you know organizations and people who are making an impact in the community, we would love to hear about it. Until next time, do well so you can do good.